Well, hello, everyone, and I'm so excited to be back for another episode of the Never Broke Nation podcast.
Yes.
Yay. So I'm one of your hosts, Janai Thornton.
And I'm Chris Hollis. Glad to be here. It's just us today holding it down.
Holding it down.
For the Never Broke Nation.
For the entire nation. And, I'm excited, Chris. I'm really excited because we're continuing our conversation about the fourth quarter, which really translates to we got some work to do. Let's dig in.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And so in our first conversation, we basically we were talking to our individuals.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But this time, who are we going to talk to?
We are talking to businesses, those who have businesses, those who are entrepreneurs. Yeah. We're going to be talking to you today.
And so these are people, we're talking to you whether this is your full-time thing, your part-time thing, you only do it to make a little bit of extra money. A business owner is a business owner. Mm-hmm. But there's some things that you need to be doing too as an entrepreneur and a business owner, getting prepared and getting ready, closing out 2018 right. And really digging in and getting everything set up and prepared so you can get to that money.
Exactly.
I was going to quote Willie Moore Jr. and say, get to that bag. I know Dave was going to be looking at me like, why are you using...
I like that, Willie. I like that.
I know.
I'm going to use that, Willie.
Get to that bag. Mm-hmm. But in all seriousness, we are in business to make money.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so I don't want people to ever lose sight about what it's really about.
Right.
And Chris, where I see people really get off track is, no matter what you do, if you're an event planner or you own a child care or if you're driving for Uber, people are so focused on the doing that they forget about what they're being held responsible for when it comes to all that back office stuff when it comes to owning your own business. Like there's a part of this money accounting stuff that has to happen.
Exactly.
So we're going to talk about that today.
Exactly. There are a lot of things that we do as, being a business that we like to prepare for.
Right.
So one of the things that we start with is with our 1099s and our W-2s.
Right.
So
let's tell people what they are so we don't even assume that people know.
That's true.
Yes.
So basically 1099s is a form that you want to give to all of your vendors, basically anyone that you've paid over $600 to. Now for attorneys, it's any amount.
Correct.
But for individual or a single member LLC, you want to provide them a 1099. Now, one thing you want to make sure you have on file for them is a W-9.
Right. And so let me tell you the reason why you have to issue them. Because the government is basically saying, we want to know who you paid. And so this is the IRS's way of keeping up with saying, you business owner are responsible for telling me, IRS, who you're paying, because guess what they're doing? They want to make sure that that vendor who got paid is reporting that income.
Exactly.
And it's checks and balances.
Exactly.
So we as the business owners are responsible. One thing I'd like to add too, which is a recent change to business tax returns, the IRS is asking a question, did you issue 1099s? They didn't always ask that before. And so now what they want to make sure is, as an employer or a business owner, have you done your part? And so you're right. We are required to report that information, give a copy to the person you paid.
Right.
And the other people got to remember that other copy's going to the IRS.
Right.
They want to make sure all that stuff is adding up and lining up.
Right. And you definitely don't want to start doing this in January. You don't want to be rushing to try to get this information. Because sometimes people won't give it to you because they don't want the IRS to know.
Say that.
So it's better to get it in the beginning when you first, get in their services, or at least start around now to start trying to get this information from them so that your books are straight.
Yeah. Same thing with the W-2s, because we've been talking about the 1099s.
That's true.
If you have employees, if they are on payroll, even if it's just you, it's the same thing. You have to make sure that you issue that W-2, how much they got paid, taxes were taken out. That same information has to go to the IRS too.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
And you want to also make sure that their addresses are current.
Yeah. Addresses are current. And one thing, Chris, that you said, which is really important, back to the 1099s, the best way to handle it is don't pay anybody until they've completed that form W-9. And all that form is, they're going to put their name or business name, tax ID number, and address. By law, you're supposed to have those.
Right.
So, if you were ever audited by the IRS, they're literally going to check your files to make sure that you actually have the W-9s on file.
Right.
So please don't think it's not a big deal.
Exactly.
It really
Please
is a
listen.
big deal.
Please listen. You need that form.
Get those 1099s and them W-2s ready.
Exactly. So that's good information. So I know one of the issues I was going to was books, making sure that your books are current. We just had a situation where, we were working with someone and they weren't even aware of how much money they made.
This has got to be one of the biggest pain points. I don't even know what adjective to use to describe this. It's like you are running a business, you are committed, doing all this work, and if you're not maintaining books, meaning you don't know how much money has come in, how much money has gone out into what, what has happened? Yeah. You have no sense of what's happened. And so what Chris is talking about, we're, I like to say we have day jobs and night jobs. Exactly. The other part of what we do, we are accountants in the entertainment industry. So we have a client who's not a regular daily client of ours, wanted us to help them do their taxes, pull all the information together. We showed them how much money they made. They literally were trying to argue with us, because they couldn't believe they made this much money. But because they had not been keeping up with it throughout the entire year, they're in complete shock. Now, this is money. We're talking about deposits into their bank account. We can't dispute it. But you have to maintain books. You have to know what's coming in and what's going out.
Right. And nowadays there's so many softwares that you can get that link directly to your bank account, and your bank account transactions can go directly into those.
Credit card ones too.
Exactly.
Yep. So QuickBooks Online. I personally like QuickBooks because it's really designed for people who are not accountants.
Exactly. I love QuickBooks as well.
So whatever tool that you're actually going to use, but you have to know what's coming in and what's going out, because that is what's going to help not only how much money you made, but it's also going to help you get ready for tax season.
Right.
So it's all about the books.
Right. And it's so easy to start making sure that those transactions are in now, because it's easy to do 10 months, even instead of doing 12 in January. So go ahead and start pulling that information in, and it'll be easier for you to make for your coding, your classing, all of those expenses. And you also want to make sure that your books are reconciled.
Right.
Because
what does that mean?
Well, reconciled means that your transactions are matching what's hitting the bank.
Right.
You want to make sure that what the bank has is exactly what your books have per month.
Right.
So that way you know that you have everything that has hit your bank account is in your books and you're fully current.
Right.
That's the only way you can do that. Even if you're bringing in transactions, if your books aren't reconciled, they're not right. You don't know if they're right.
Right.
You may have duplicates.
Right.
You may have transactions that you're missing. There may be things coming out of your account that you're not even aware of.
Right.
That can actually be happening. So that's one of the reasons why it's important to make sure that your books are current and keep them current.
Right. And if you can't do it, don't do it. Hire someone to do it for you, for sure. But that's a commitment. Companies. And one thing that I want to encourage business owners to do is encourage, challenge, whatever the word is. This is something that should be happening every month.
Yes.
I don't want you to get in the habit of waiting until the end of the year or tax time to get focused on what came in and what went out. Exactly. This is your life and your livelihood. It's worth the commitment, or it's worth the money that you spend to have someone do it for you.
That's true. Yeah. That's a very good point.
Get the books done.
That's a very good point. So another thing that we do in fourth quarter is tax planning.
Got to get ready for tax season.
So what would you be doing for tax season as a business owner?
As a business owner, I think business owners have no idea the opportunity that they have with retirement. And so what the IRS has done is, because people always complaining about, having to pay, but the IRS has given entrepreneurs, business owners, incentives to say, if you invest, put money in, you take money from your business and you put it in your retirement account, we're going to allow you to write that off. So you get to save for your retirement. You get the write-off or the tax deduction. So that means you're saving and paying less taxes at the exact same time. And I think people don't understand that connection. So it might just be you, one person in the business. Maybe it's 3 or 4 of you, but you want to do that because I promise you that time is going to come where you're going to wish you had that money. And so why wouldn't you pay less taxes? So retirement is key. For sure.
Retirement is key.
Definitely key. Businesses also can make charitable contributions. Yep. So this is the perfect time to look at your budget to see if there's any area, that you want to give, if your business can afford it and get that deduction as well. So it's something else that your business absolutely consider too.
So I know towards the end of the year, we kind of focus on timing for our clients. Why is that important?
Okay. So what you're talking about is the timing of money coming in. And so what we mean by that is, say, for example, you're someone and you're getting a really big contract. You've been working on this all year long. You finally closed the deal. This is some $1 million deal. I assure you, you do not want to get that full $1 million in November. And the reason for that is when that money comes in, you are going to owe taxes on that money regardless of how long you have to spend it. So if I were someone like that, you can what we call structure payments. So you could say, okay, I'm going to take $200,000 of that now because we need that for the business now. And within my contract, I'm going to have them pay me the rest of it in January. So we're not talking about someone sent you a check and you just sitting on it and you're not depositing it.
Exactly.
We're not talking about that.
No, don't hold it.
No holding, but we are talking about timing because you think about it. If you take, you have $1 million deal or you have $100,000 deal and you don't have time to have those business expenses, you're going to pay taxes on all that money.
So in other words, you have nothing from no deductions.
You have no deduction. That's going to be a very painful check to write.
Absolutely.
Yep. So again, beginning fourth quarter, you really want to start paying attention to that, but especially in November, December.
Good. That's good advice. Good advice. So another thing is forecasting.
Okay.
For the previous year. Is that something you would do as a business owner?
Okay. So you're actually going to forecast for the next year.
Yeah. Did I say previous?
You said previous.
I meant next year. Never broke nation.
Come on, never broke. But this is really important because, again, this is a habit that people need to begin to do to say, okay, we're far enough along in 2018. I know what came in and I know what went out.
If your books are current.
If your books are current, you should be able to tell that. Now the question is, how do I get to prepare for 2019? So if you have a personal budget, forecasting is nothing but a business budget.
Exactly.
So you could say how much it's going to cost to run your business for the year or by month. And then that way, you'll know how much revenue you need to generate. Maybe you know what you need to cut back on or get rid of. Maybe you didn't make money in certain parts of your business and you're like, why are we doing this anymore?
An assessment.
Yeah, like this doesn't make any sense. But forecasting is very powerful. And so it helps you figure out by month what's going to happen. Maybe you all have certain investments. Maybe you buy equipment at a certain time of the year. There's certain things that you're going to want to do to grow your business and make more money, but you need information to do that.
Exactly.
And so this is the perfect time of the year to be focused on what's going to happen next year so you can get everything geared up and ready to go.
These are really good tips and really good things that someone can start applying right now.
Right. And one thing too, we talked about QuickBooks. A lot of the budgets and the things that we're talking about, that's a tool that can actually help you do that.
Yes.
So if you're not an accountant, you're like, I don't have the energy, I'm not going to figure it out. Again, this is a great time to hire somebody to get the help because you want to know, again, what is next year going to look like so you're not going to be caught off guard. At minimum, what's it going to cost you?
That's great advice.
So there is one more thing I do want to talk about. People focus so much on saving money personally that they forget to save money for their business. And so just like, they say you need to have 6 months or 12 months or 3 months of savings, how much money does your business need to have set aside? Because you think about it, things go like this, that up and down. So you would want, what's your goal as a business? Do you want to be able to have 3 or 6 months or 2 years of savings? So that way, if we have a recession or something happens with one of your key clients, how long can your business continue to grow and thrive? And so I think people forget about that. It took me years. I was in business years before I began to save for the business specifically. Because you're so focused on yourself individually, trying to make sure that yourself is straight. But wait a minute, business has to be able to sustain those up and down times too. So come on, business owner, let's get in the habit.
Got it.
Yeah.
So if I'm just an Uber driver,
right,
hustling on the side, what would I have to do? What advice would you give me for preparing just as an Uber driver, just getting that extra money coming in?
Oh, so, my thing is, I never think about anybody as just that. It's all the same to me, because if you are putting forth your time, your energy, your effort, you are making money, like you are a business. You don't have to be making millions of dollars. So I want people to always have that mindset. And so if you are driving for Uber, it's the same thing. I think I've never been a driver, so I don't know the information that they get as far as the income, but I'm thinking they've got a pretty sophisticated system. They're going to report to you how much you're making, but you need to know exactly how much you're spending, whether it's gas or maintenance or insurance, because you are going to have to report all of that on your tax return. So again, millions of dollars or hundreds of dollars. Never lose the mindset of, your time is valuable. You're a business to me.
That's a good point.
So treat yourself as such.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. You should run it as still a multi-million-dollar business.
Absolutely, because again, this is your livelihood. This is how you're feeding yourself, potentially your family too. So I don't want people to ever lose sight of that. Like every dollar really, really counts. And just having a very organized way, easy though. Whether you're a hairdresser, you get paid in cash. Doesn't matter what you do. You need to have a very organized way of knowing what is coming in and what is going out. What is doing well, what's not doing well. We were talking about this last segment. I was with one of my younger cousins this past weekend who's a hairdresser, and she's thinking about opening a shop. And so, we were talking about her business, and I started asking her questions. I'm like, so how do you make more money? Do you make more money? Because she's a really, really amazing braider. I said, do you make more money doing braids, or do you make more money like doing other things like color and cut? But she's like, more braids. She makes more money doing braids, but how much? Like, I want you to be able to tell me that, because that's powerful. You see what I'm saying? Like all those details really, really matter.
Just having that awareness.
Because maybe she should stop doing something, or maybe she should do more of something once she has that information. I'm like, who's your best customer? Not like who do you like the most, but who spends the most money with you? You should know that. How much money have you spent on fill in the gap? Like you should be able to pull it like this. It should not take you a week or 2 weeks. And so I know, since you and I work together in Envision, the power of being able to pull a report and saying, we spent this much on insurance. Someone was on tour and they brought in X dollars, or we paid our DJ. Like we can pull that immediately. It helps you just make decisions.
Absolutely.
So again, millions of dollars, thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars. It's the same mindset from the top to the bottom. Yeah.
It's very good.
Let's get to that bag, Chris.
Let's get to that bag.
Well, I think we're going to wrap this segment up. And thank you all for tuning in for another segment of the Never Broke Nation podcast. Tell people where they can follow us and find us.
Yes, you can always find us at Never Broke Nation on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube as well. And where can they find you?
You can find me at Janai Thornton, JINITHORNTON on Facebook and Instagram. But yeah, follow us, and please let us know if you have any show suggestions or comments or questions. We'd love to hear from you, and we want to talk about what you want us to talk about.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining the nation.
Thank you.